Hola, bienvenidos. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Maestra Teacher and today we're going to be working with lesson number 2 on learning Spanish. Vamos a trabajar la lección número 2. Alright, so today's lesson has to do with the alphabet. In Spanish, we say el abecedario, and it's basically the letters that we use in Spanish to speak. In English, we also have an alphabet that has 26 letters, but in Spanish, we have an extra letter, so that makes it 27 letters in Spanish. Before we go on with our video, I wanted to share with you today that the persons in charge or the organization in charge of making sure the Spanish language is written and spoken correctly is called the Real Academia Española, which in English means like the Royal Spanish Academy. And these are the people in Spain who are the scholars in charge of making sure of the stabilization of Spanish, that Spanish is spoken correctly, and they are the ones who take charge in deciding which letters stay in the alphabet, which letters are not, or which words are adopted in the Spanish language and which are don't. So if you want to learn more about them, you are welcome to go to their website. They have all the specific rules to each one of the letters in Spanish, pronunciation, and so on and so forth. Let's go ahead. Just lesson number 1, if you have not watched it, is the one I dedicate the time to talk about the vowels or los vocales that we did practice them. So today we're going to focus more on the consonants, which is the rest of the alphabet or el abecedario. Some of these letters have 2 different sounds. So those that are a little bit more difficult to learn, I will pause and explain a little more. Some of them are pronounced basically similar in English, like W. In reality, there's no word in Spanish with W. We just adopted it, I guess, to the alphabet because we have words to pronounce that have W from other languages that have been adopted, but W really isn't a Spanish letter. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start practicing. Okay, so the way I want you to practice this today in Spanish is you will listen to the pronunciation first, and then I go like this, and it's time for you to repeat and practice. Remember, you're learning a second language, you have to practice. Don't worry, I'm not gonna laugh at you, nobody's watching, nobody's listening, so you don't have to be shy. I want you to really practice the pronunciation, listen, and pronounce it the best that you can. And let's begin. We begin with letter A. You say it. Good. A. Next one. B. B. You say it. B. Good. Next one. C. C. Okay, I'm going to explain a few things about letra C. In Spanish, letter C or la C has 2 ways of using it when you are pronouncing it. There's a way that is called like the strong C or the soft one. If a word has a vowel A, O, and U after that C, then it's pronounced strongly. For example, casa, C-A, casa. It sounds like a k, casa. If it has an O, coco, k, coco. Or if it has a U, we can say cuento, k, cuento. Okay? Now, if it has an E or I, la E or la I, then it's a soft C, like when you say Cecilia, cine. You hear the difference? Casa, coco, cuerno, and then Cecilia, cine. Okay, so those are the 2 depending. If it has a vowel A, E, O, A, O, U, then it's a strong one. You pronounce it like a K. And if it has an EI, you pronounce it softly like S. Okay? Those are the two ways to pronounce C in Spanish. Next letter is letter D. 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 You say it. Okay? Next one. E. E. This is a vowel and we practice that in lesson number 1. Next one. La letra F. La F. You say F. 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 Not F. F. Next one, and this one also has two sounds, la letra G. La G. It also can pronounce G. G. Okay? How do you pronounce it? Same as with the C. If it has an A, O, U, then it's pronounced G, like gato, goma, gusano. G, G. A, O, U, you need to pronounce it the hard way. Ga, go, gu. And then if it has an E or an I, it's also the soft way. And the soft G is like a sound. Okay? Like gema or gitana. Okay, those are the two ways to pronounce good. Next one, very important and very easy. Letter H in Spanish, la H. H. Now, in Spanish, very important, this letter does not have a sound. Let me repeat, does not have a sound. It's silent. Completely silent. So in English, for example, when you say the name Hector, the H in English, you have kind of whisper like Hector. But in Spanish, you're supposed to pronounce it Hector, like the H is not even there. Because H in Spanish is silent, always, no matter its location, is always silent. So you don't pronounce it. Now, if you're talking about a name, like a name of a country or a name of a state, like Hawaii, you don't say Hawaii. It's a name, so you have to pronounce it as it is. You say Hawaii. Okay? Let's go on. Next one. The other vowel, E. We practiced that one already. Then letter J. In Spanish, you say la jota. La jota. Okay? And J is pronounced jota. Okay? Next one. K in Spanish, ka. Ka. And then L. 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 In Spanish, we also put two L's together and it's known as ella. La ella. Now, ella is not an official letter in the alphabet, but it's called un dígrafo, which is basically two L's together making one sound. But it is, if it's not part of the alphabet, but it is used. We have words with ella, like llave, okay, or lluvia. Next one. M. La M in Spanish is M. 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 You remember you're supposed to be pronouncing it with me. M. Next one, N. N. You say it. N. All right, and now we have another letter which makes the different letter is letter ñ. Now this one's a little bit tough to pronounce. Listen again. ñ. You kind of have to feel it up here in your nose. ñ. Okay? And ñ is used as a new letter because it's not N with something on top. It's a whole new letter, ñ, and it's part of the Spanish alphabet. Words like caña have the ñ, and you are supposed to write it. There's a lot of people who don't write the tilde, that's how we call it, that what you see on top of the letter, and then it sounds like an N. But it should have the tilde and it should be pronounced ñ. Okay, ñ. Say it, ñ. Good. The next vowel, O, not O, O. O, remember it. Next one, P, P, P. Say it, P, P. Next one, Q, Q, Q. Next one, this one's a tough one and I hear this a lot. R, R. Now, if you're an English speaker, I hear all the time, I cannot roll my R. And I understand it takes some time to practice and roll your R's, but you can do this if you practice hard enough. Just remember, think about when you do in English, brum, brum of a car or some sort of noise. Brr, that brr, you can. Brr. In Spanish, we also use double R in some words. And again, the double R is not part of the alphabet in Spanish, but it's more like a dígrafo, like I said, when you have two R's together, making a sound R. And if you have to really roll your R for that double R, R, like carro, R, R. Practice. Some people, if you're speaking English, you practice, it may sound, because in English you don't do the R's are more relaxed, like R. But in Spanish, really try to roll that R. Next letter, la S. 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 Next one, T. Not T, la T. T. Okay? This one is hard for Spanish speakers to pronounce in English because when we are used to saying te. And a lot of words in English has an H after the T, like thank you or Thursday. And a lot of my students that are Spanish speakers tend to say Thursday or thank you with t, because in Spanish we say te. So in English, I know it's f, but in Spanish, te. Next one, vowel U, la U. Next one, v, la V. Make sure your lip is under your teeth. V, V. In English, V. In español, say it, V. Okay, next one. This word, in English you say W. In español, la doble V o la doble U. I've heard it said both ways, W, W. W and W or W is really an English letter adopted in the Spanish language, but you will never find a word in Spanish that has the W in it. We use it because we know like there are words in English that have it, like Washington, so we have to say Washington. So we couldn't take it away, but you will not find a Spanish word that has a W in it, okay? Next one is the letter X. In Spanish, you say X. X. This one also is quite confused. It has the sound of S, especially on names, but like Texas, Mexico can also be pronounced with a J, la J, or it can be done Mexico. But what really struck me with this letter X is when you use it in names. For example, this name. In Spanish, we say this name Xavier because the X has a sound, Xavier. But in English, people pronounce it Xavier, okay? Just make sure, depending on the person, ask first how they pronounce it because I've made a mistake of pronouncing it wrong. So I always ask, how do you want me to pronounce this in English or Spanish? What is your name? And then depending on the person, that's how I pronounce it. In español, a lot of people Xavier. In English, Xavier. Okay? La X. Next one is the letter Y. In Spanish, you say la Y or la Y. Okay? This one has two ways of pronouncing it as well. It sounds like E when you have words that end with a vowel and start with a vowel. Like you can say, este y aquel. Este y aquel. Or if you have two consonants at the end, one at the end and one at the beginning after the Y, you say hombres y mujeres. You use the E sound. But when it has an A or an O, you can use the Y sound, like yo, ya, okay? Yo. So it depends. Next letter, and the last one is the letter Z or la Z. In English, you say Z. In Spanish, la Z. Z. Okay? It sounds quite similar, Z. If you are from Spain, they use this sound a lot, how they speak, because they speak with the Z. They will say Zeta. But in most of the other countries, we just say Zeta. Okay? So these are all the letters of the alphabet in Spanish. I hope you learned something today and you get to practice them. If you're beginning, I know it may sound a bit confusing, but you'll get used to it once we go on practicing. Let's say them all one more time so you can practice and become a great Spanish speaker. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, Ñ, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Bien. Good job. I hope you like my channel. I hope you subscribe and I'll see you in the next lesson. Hasta luego.